The message arrived on a Tuesday. It came through every radio telescope on Earth at the same time. Scientists at first thought it was a glitch, then a prank. By Wednesday morning, they knew it was neither. "We come in peace and curiosity." The message said once Dr. Olivia Wright cracked the basic translation. "We are the Nelvorians." Olivia hadn't slept in 36 hours. Her office at the Global Space Agency was filled with coffee cups and printouts of signal patterns. She pushed her glasses up and read the message again. "Any progress?" asked Director Paul Evans from the doorway. "They're called Nelvorians. Their language uses mathematical sequences as a base. I think they're asking permission to visit," Olivia said. Within hours, the news spread worldwide. Alien life existed, and it wanted to meet us. On the International Space Station, Captain Frank Cooper received new orders. His mission changed from routine maintenance to first contact preparation. "Never thought I'd see this day," he told his crew as they gathered in the observation module. "Keep the station on high alert. We don't know what we're dealing with yet." Back on Earth, world leaders gathered in emergency sessions. Military forces went on standby. Religious leaders called for calm. Regular people stared at the sky and wondered. The Nelvorians sent more messages over the next few days. They explained they had been watching Earth for decades. They described themselves as peaceful explorers who had visited many worlds. Their ambassador, Zephyr, requested formal permission to enter Earth's atmosphere with a small delegation. After much debate, Earth said yes. 7 days after the first message, the Nelvorian ship appeared. It didn't arrive with a flash or a bang. One moment the sky above New York was empty, the next a massive ship hung there. It looked like a giant crystal, catching and bending sunlight in beautiful patterns. It was the size of 10 football fields. People in the streets stopped and stared up. Some ran in fear, others took pictures. Police struggled to maintain order. Inside the United Nations building, Olivia prepared with a team of scientists, diplomats, and military personnel. They had created a welcome area in the main assembly hall. The air felt electric with tension. "Remember," Olivia told the welcome committee, "we don't know their customs or what they consider polite. Follow my lead." Lieutenant Greg Harrison stood nearby with his security team. They wore formal uniforms rather than combat gear, but each had a concealed weapon. "Just in case," his commander had said. "You really think these aliens mean no harm?" Greg asked Olivia quietly. "I hope so," she replied. Their messages seemed genuine. A soft hum filled the air. In the center of the room, air shimmered like heat waves over hot pavement. Then they appeared. The Nelvorians stood about 7 feet tall. Their bodies were slender with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their faces had no nose, but large eyes that wrapped partway around their oval heads. 7 of them had appeared, standing in a perfect circle. The room went silent. Olivia stepped forward as planned. "Welcome to Earth. I am Dr. Olivia Wright, representing humanity." The tallest Nelvorian moved forward. Its skin settled into a calm blue color. "I am Zephyr. We thank you for your welcome." Its voice sounded musical, with odd pauses between words. "We have long wished to meet your kind." As formal greetings continued, Greg noticed something odd. The aliens moved in perfect unison. When one shifted, the others mirrored the movement exactly. Their eyes blinked together. Even their chests rose and fell in the same rhythm. The Nelvorian called Zephyr studied the humans with intense interest. "Your species is fascinating. So many variations, so much individuality." Something in the way it said individuality made Greg uneasy. It sounded almost like someone discussing a strange disease. Olivia didn't notice. She was busy explaining Earth customs and introducing key officials. What no one in the room realized was that the Nelvorians were already confused. They had studied Earth from afar, but had fundamentally misunderstood human nature. To them, the varied emotions, the different opinions, the competition they observed, these weren't normal. They were deeply troubling signs of something wrong. and they had come to help. The next 3 days were filled with meetings. The Nelvorians set up a temporary base inside the United Nations building. They brought strange devices that hummed softly and glowed with blue light. No one knew what these machines did, but the aliens assured everyone they were just for monitoring the environment. Lieutenant Gray Harrison watched the aliens carefully. He stood guard during important meetings, observing their every move. Something about them made his skin crawl. They never disagreed with each other. They finished each other's sentences. They even seemed to breathe as one. "Don't they ever argue?" he whispered to Olivia during a break. "I think they have some kind of group mind," she said. "It's fascinating." The lead Nelvorian, Zephyr, explained their society during a major presentation. Their species came from a planet circling a distant star. They had visited 15 other worlds with intelligent life. Their civilization stretched across 12 star systems. "We have brought peace and understanding to many species," Zephyr said. "We hope to share our knowledge with humans." President William Carter smiled and nodded. "We're eager to learn from you, especially about medicine and space travel." A Nelvorian scientist named Lumen stepped forward. "We would like to learn about you as well. Your history, your social structures, your conflicts." The way Lumen said conflicts made Greg grip his chair tightly. It sounded like they were discussing a disease. That evening, Olivia was invited to visit the Nelvorian ship along with 5 other human scientists. Greg was assigned as her security detail. They rode up to the ship in a special elevator the aliens had created. Inside, the ship was beautiful. Crystal walls pulsed with soft light. The air smelled like flowers. Nelvorians moved through the corridors with perfect grace. Not one of them bumped into another. "This way," said Zephyr, leading them to a large room filled with screens showing Earth, our observation center. Greg noticed that many screens showed wars, fights, and arguments. One showed children playing roughly in a schoolyard. Another showed a heated debate in Parliament. "Why so much focus on conflict?" he asked. Zephyr's skin rippled with dark purple streaks. "We find it important to understand all aspects of humanity." A Nelvorian approached with drinks on a tray. "Refreshments suitable for human biology," it said. Olivia took a cup of clear liquid that tasted like sweet water. As she drank, a Nelvorian touched her arm with a device that looked like a small wand. "What was that?" Greg demanded. "Simple biological scan," Zephyr said smoothly. "No harm intended." Later, as the humans toured the ship's gardens, Greg pulled Olivia aside. "They're studying us like lab rats," he whispered. "That's what scientists do," she replied. "We'd do the same if they visited us." In another part of the ship, Lumen sat surrounded by human books, videos, and news reports. It watched footage of a boxing match, then a clip of a mother scolding her child, then soldiers in battle. Its skin darkened with each viewing. Another Nelvorian entered the room. Without speaking, they seemed to share thoughts. Their eyes blinked in the same pattern. Their hands moved in mirror-like motions. "The humans are more fractured than we realize," Lumen said finally. "Each one acts separately. They have no unity." "Is it as we feared?" asked the other. "Worse, they feel emotions independently. They make decisions alone. They even fight among themselves for no reason." "Can they be helped?" Lumen's skin turned a deep blue. "I will need more data. But yes, I believe we can help them overcome their condition." Back in the tour group, Olivia was excited about everything she was learning. The Nelvorians had promised to share medical knowledge that could cure many human diseases. They talked about clean energy and faster spaceships. Only Greg noticed that the aliens never laughed. They never showed surprise. They never disagreed. And they were watching the humans' every emotional reaction with intense interest. As they prepared to return to Earth, Zephyr approached Greg directly. "You seem concerned, Lieutenant Harrison." "Just doing my job," Greg replied. "Your job is to protect others, even at cost to yourself," Zephyr said. A curious priority for an individual to have. Greg didn't know how to respond, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong about these perfect, unified visitors. 1 week after the first meeting, things began to change. The Nelvorians started to miss scheduled talks. They delayed sharing promised medical knowledge. When they did appear, they seemed more guarded. Olivia noticed the shift during a science meeting. "We were supposed to discuss your space travel technology today," she said to Lumen. The Nelvorian's skin rippled with green streaks. "We need more time to prepare materials suitable for your understanding." "Suitable?" Olivia asked. "We have some of the best physicists on Earth here." Lumen paused. All 7 Nelvorians in the room blinked at exactly the same moment. "Your scientists have limitations we did not fully appreciate." President Carter was getting impatient. World leaders were demanding results from these meetings. He called an emergency session with the alien visitors. "We've been very open with you," he told Zephyr, "but we feel you're holding back. That wasn't our agreement." Zephyr's skin turned a deep purple. "We are reassessing the situation." Greg stood at the back of the room, watching carefully. He noticed small devices placed around the meeting area. They hadn't been there yesterday. They looked like smooth silver eggs, each about the size of a golf ball. Later, he showed one to Olivia. "They're putting these everywhere. I found 3 in the main hallway and 2 in the cafeteria." Olivia turned it over in her hand. "Maybe it's for translation, or air testing, or maybe they're watching us," Greg said. That night, Greg couldn't sleep. He went for a walk around the UN building. In a quiet hallway, he heard voices, a human and a Nelvorian. He stopped to listen. "But why can't we start the medical exchange now?" asked a man Greg recognized as Dr. Peter Gomes, a leading cancer researcher. "There are complications," replied a Nelvorian voice. It was not Zephyr or Lumen, but one of the junior diplomats named Vela. "What complications?" Dr. Gomes pressed. "Your people's condition is more serious than we understood." Vela's voice dropped lower. "The fractured nature of human minds makes knowledge transfer difficult." "Fractured?" Dr. Gomes sounded confused. "What do you mean?" Greg leaned closer to hear better. His elbow bumped a trash can, making a small noise. The conversation stopped immediately. When Greg looked around the corner, the hallway was empty. The next morning, he told Olivia what he had heard. "They think there's something wrong with us," he said. "Something about our minds." Olivia frowned. "That doesn't make sense. They've been friendly and—" She was interrupted by an aide rushing in. "The Nelvorians have requested all data on human psychology and brain development. All of it. They're especially interested in mental illness statistics." "That's odd," Olivia said. "Why would they?" Another aide burst in. "They're leaving. The Nelvorians are returning to their ship." Outside, people gathered to watch. Without any formal goodbye, all the Nelvorians were boarding transport vessels to return to their crystal ship. President Carter tried to contact Zephyr, but received no response. Greg and Olivia rushed to the roof of the UN building. The last transport was just leaving. "Wait," Olivia called out. "What's happening? Why are you leaving?" Lumen turned to face them. Its skin was now a solid dark blue. "We have made our assessment. Your species requires intervention." "Intervention?" Greg asked. "What does that mean?" "You suffer from a serious condition. Your minds are not properly connected. Each human functions as a separate entity, causing chaos and conflict." Olivia stepped forward. "That's not a condition. That's just being human. We're individuals." "Exactly," Lumen said. "A tragic disorder. But we can help." The transport door closed. It rose into the air and headed toward the crystal ship. "They think being individual is a disease," Greg said in shock. "They think we need to be fixed." Olivia's face went pale. "And they have all our military information, our medical data, everything we shared with them." High above, the crystal ship began to glow brighter. More ships appeared in the sky, dozens of them, surrounding Earth like a net. The Nelvorians had made their decision about humanity, and they were about to act on it. The world changed in an instant. A shimmering blue field appeared around Earth, visible from the ground as a faint glow in the sky. All satellites stopped working. The International Space Station lost contact with Earth. No signal could get in or out. "It's a quarantine," Olivia said as she studied readings in the hastily assembled crisis center. "They've cut us off from space." President Carter addressed the nation, trying to keep panic from spreading. "We are working to establish communication with the Nelvorians. There is no immediate danger to anyone on Earth." But people were already afraid. Stores emptied as people bought supplies. Some fled cities, thinking they might be alien targets. Religious groups declared it was the end times. Greg joined Olivia at the crisis center. "Military options?" he asked a general. The older man shook his head. "We fired 3 nuclear missiles at one of their ships. The missiles just disappeared when they hit that blue field." A message finally came from the Nelvorians. It broadcast on every TV, radio, and computer screen worldwide. "People of Earth," Zephyr's voice said calmly, "we have placed your planet under temporary quarantine for your protection. We have observed your condition and determined that treatment is necessary. Your disconnected minds cause you pain and conflict. We will help you achieve unity." Olivia slammed her fist on the table. "They think they're saving us." "Saving us from what?" "Being human," Greg asked. Dr. Alan Bennett, a famous psychologist, was brought in to help understand the alien perspective. He explained it to the emergency council. "The Nelvorians are a hive mind. They share thoughts. To them, our individuality looks like a terrible sickness. Imagine seeing a person whose arms and legs all tried to go in different directions. That's how they see us." NASA engineer Samantha Powell reported a discovery. "The quarantine field has a pattern. It gets weaker for about 3 minutes every 14 hours. Weak enough to get a message out?" the president asked. "Maybe," Samantha said, "or even a small ship." 3 days later, the Nelvorians began their treatment. Strange signals pulsed through the air. People reported hearing soft voices in their heads, suggesting they work together, avoid conflict, share their thoughts with others. Some people began to change. They became calmer. They stopped arguing or competing. They worked together perfectly, like parts of a machine. Their eyes looked distant. "They're turning us into them," Greg said as he watched footage of affected people, "taking away what makes us human." Olivia gathered a group of scientists who seemed immune to the signals. They met in a basement lined with metal that blocked the alien influence. "The signals affect emotional people more than logical ones," Dr. Bennett explained. "Creative people more than analytical ones. So they're targeting what makes humans special," Samantha said. Greg paced the room. "We need to fight back." "How?" Olivia asked. "We can't even reach their ships." Samantha spread out her plans on the table. "I've been designing a stealth vessel. It's small, just big enough for 3 people. If we time it right, we might get through the field during one of its weak periods." "And then what?" asked Dr. Bennett. "We find their homeworld," Greg said firmly. "We make them understand they're not helping us. They're destroying what makes us human." Outside, the blue glow in the sky grew stronger. More people fell under the alien influence each day. They walked in perfect lines. They worked in perfect unison. They never laughed or cried or argued. "If we're going to act, it has to be soon," Olivia said, "before humanity, as we know it, disappears." Greg looked at the small team. "Who's willing to risk everything to show these aliens the truth about human nature?" Every hand in the room went up. Different people, different minds, making the same choice for different reasons. It was the most human thing they could do. 3 months passed. The world changed slowly but surely. Nearly a third of Earth's people now responded to the Nelvorian signals. They moved in groups, worked without rest, and never showed strong feelings. Their faces looked peaceful but empty. In cities across the world, these changed humans built strange towers that strengthened the alien signals. They didn't need to be forced. They believed they were being helped. Underground, in a forgotten military bunker outside of Denver, the resistance grew. Olivia, Gray, and Dr. Bennett had gathered scientists, soldiers, and everyday people who remained unaffected by the signals. The metal in these walls protects us, Olivia explained to newcomers. Something about certain types of brain chemistry makes some people immune too. Samantha Powell worked day and night on her ship, which they called Firefly. It was small, built from scavenged parts, and designed to slip through the quarantine field during its weak periods. "It's almost ready," she told Greg one night as they checked the engines. "But we still don't know where to go or what to do when we get out there." In another part of the bunker, Dr. Bennett interviewed people who had been partially affected by the signals but had recovered. It felt like peace, a young woman told him. "Like I was part of something bigger. I didn't worry about anything." "What made you break free?" Dr. Bennett asked. "My daughter got hurt. She was crying. Something inside me just woke up. The need to help her as her mother was stronger than the signal." Dr. Bennett shared these stories with the team. Strong emotions can break the alien influence. Love, fear, anger, the things that make us most human. Outside their bunker, the situation grew worse. General Victor Rain, who had refused to join the resistance, decided to take military action. He launched a nuclear strike against the main Nelvorian ship. The missiles never reached their target. The blue field absorbed them without a trace. In response, the Nelvorians increased the strength of their signals. That night, Greg found Olivia studying alien language patterns. "How's it coming?" he asked. "I think I understand them better now," she said without looking up. "They truly believe they're helping us. In their world, being part of the group mind means no one is ever alone, afraid, or in conflict. But they're taking away our choices," Greg said. "To them, individual choice is the problem, not the solution." Samantha burst into the room. "The Firefly is ready. And I've found something else." She spread star maps on the table. "I've been tracking the Nelvorian supply ships. They all go to the same place after passing through the field. I think it's their homeworld." Olivia studied the maps. "If we could reach their leaders, maybe we could make them understand." "It would be a one-way trip," Greg said quietly. "Even if we get through the field, we'd never have enough fuel to return to Earth." The bunker shook suddenly. Dust fell from the ceiling. "They found us," someone shouted. "The changed humans are attacking the bunker." Outside, hundreds of blank-faced people were removing the metal shielding that protected the resistance. They didn't use weapons. They didn't shout or threaten. They just worked together with machine-like efficiency. "We need to launch now," Samantha said. "The field will be at its weakest point in 20 minutes. Greg looked at Olivia. "Are you ready to leave Earth behind? Maybe forever?" She nodded. "To save what makes us human." "Yes." Dr. Bennett approached them. "I've loaded all my research on human psychology into the ship's computer. If you can make them understand us, maybe they'll stop trying to change us." The three volunteers ran to the Firefly as the bunker's outer doors began to break. The small ship was barely big enough for them. It hummed to life as Samantha fired up the engines. "Next stop, Alien Central," Greg said, trying to sound brave. The Firefly shot into the night sky, racing to beat both the closing bunker doors and the narrow window through the quarantine field. The Firefly shuddered as it passed through the blue field. For a moment, everything inside the ship went dark. Olivia held her breath. Greg gripped his seat. Samantha's fingers flew over the controls. Then they were through. Stars shone around them. Earth looked small behind them, wrapped in its blue cage. "We made it," Samantha whispered. "Now for the hard part," Greg said. "Finding the Nelvorian homeworld." Samantha pulled up the star maps on the ship's screen. Based on the supply ship's routes, I think it's about 2 weeks away at our top speed. The Firefly was small but fast. They had packed it with food, water, and emergency supplies. Still, the journey would be tight. 5 days into their trip, they spotted a Nelvorian patrol ship. The massive crystal vessel dwarfed the Firefly. "Hide," Greg hissed. Samantha cut all power except basic life support. They drifted, hoping to look like space debris. The patrol ship passed close by. Through the windows, they could see Nelvorians moving in perfect unison. Then the alien ship jumped to faster than light speed and disappeared. "That was close," Olivia said. On the 8th day, they ran into trouble. A small meteor struck the ship's oxygen system. The air began to grow stale. "We can fix it," Samantha said, "but we need parts." Greg checked the maps. "There's a mining colony on that moon. It's not Nelvorian, but they might be trading partners." They had no choice. The Firefly changed course and headed for the rocky moon. The mining colony was busy with activity. Strange aliens with rough, rock-like skin moved heavy carts of shining minerals. They walked in straight lines and worked in perfect rhythm, just like the affected humans on Earth. They're under Nelvorian control too, Olivia realized. They landed the Firefly at the edge of the colony. Greg put on a spacesuit and went outside to look for parts. Olivia and Samantha waited nervously. An hour later, Greg returned, but he wasn't alone. With him was one of the rock-skinned aliens. Unlike the others, this one moved with a natural, uneven gait. "This is Thren," Greg introduced the alien. "He's hiding from the Nelvorians too." Inside the ship, Thren revealed his story. His people, the Verdani, were once free and individual like humans. But a century ago, the Nelvorians came to help them. "They put transmitters in our minds," Thren said in a rough voice. "Most of my people are connected now. They don't remember freedom." "Why aren't you affected?" Samantha asked. "Some of us have different brain patterns. We pretend to be connected to survive." Thren helped them fix the Firefly. As they worked, he shared valuable information. The Nelvorian homeworld has a central nexus where all their minds connect. If you want to speak to all of them at once, that's where you must go. With the ship repaired, they prepared to leave. Thren gave them a small device. "This will help you avoid their security systems," he said. "And know this, deep down, many species want freedom. The Nelvorians have forgotten what it means to be truly alive." As they departed, Thren returned to his work, shuffling like the others, but with a secret spark of freedom inside. The final days of their journey were tense. They passed more Nelvorian ships and strange space structures. Finally, they reached their target. The Nelvorian homeworld was beautiful. Unlike Earth's blues and greens, this planet glowed with purples and silvers. Crystal cities covered much of its surface. In the center of the largest city stood an enormous tower that pulsed with light. "The central nexus," Olivia said, "where all Nelvorian minds connect." Greg checked their weapons. Simple stunners, nothing lethal. "How do we get in?" Samantha studied the security patterns using Thren's device. "There's a maintenance entry point. We can land nearby and sneak in." "And then?" Olivia asked. Greg took a deep breath. "We show them what being human really means." The Firefly began its descent toward the alien world, carrying 3 humans and the truth about human nature to the heart of the hive mind. Landing on the Nelvorian homeworld was easier than they expected. Using Thren's device, the Firefly slipped past the outer defenses. They set down in a quiet area near the base of the central nexus. "Remember the plan," Greg said as they prepared to leave the ship. "We get in, find the main connection point, and Olivia does her thing." Olivia checked her special headset. She had designed it based on Dr. Bennett's research and Nelvorian technology they had studied on Earth. "If this works, I can connect to their hive mind directly." "And if it doesn't?" Samantha asked. Greg patted the stunner at his hip. Then we improvise. They moved quickly through crystal hallways that hummed with soft energy. The few Nelvorians they saw paid them no attention. It was as if humans were too strange to register in their unified awareness. They don't see us as individuals, Olivia whispered, just as odd shapes moving around. The central nexus rose hundreds of floors above them. At its heart would be the connection chamber where all Nelvorian minds joined together. As they climbed higher, they began to meet resistance. Nelvorian security guards moved to block their path. Their skin flashed warning colors of red and orange. "Halt," one said. "You are not permitted here." Greg fired his stunner. The Nelvorian dropped to the floor, its connection to the hive temporarily broken. More guards appeared. Greg and Samantha fought them off while Olivia studied a wall panel showing the building layout. "This way," she called, pointing to a service shaft. They climbed up and up, their human muscles straining against the alien gravity. Finally, they reached a large circular room at the center of the nexus. In the middle stood a glowing pillar of light. Nelvorians stood around it in a circle, their hands touching the energy field. Their eyes were closed. Their bodies pulsed with the same rhythm. "That's it," Olivia said. "The connection point for the entire species." Alarms began to sound. More guards would come soon. "Do it now," Greg urged. Olivia put on her headset and stepped toward the pillar. Samantha and Greg stood guard at the door. "Whatever happens," Olivia said, "don't pull me out until I signal. They need to understand." She touched the pillar of light. Energy coursed through her body. She gasped and went rigid. Inside her mind, Olivia felt thousands, then millions of alien thoughts. The Nelvorian consciousness surrounded her, curious and alarmed at this intrusion. "Who are you?" the voices asked as one. "I am human," Olivia replied with her thoughts. "I've come to show you the truth." Using the headset's technology, Olivia opened her mind completely. She shared human memories, emotions, and experiences. She showed the beauty of individuality, the joy of personal discovery, the growth that comes from overcoming challenges alone, the power of choosing one's own path. She shared the memory of her father teaching her to ride a bike, the fear and then triumph as she pedaled on her own. She shared the grief when her mother died, how that pain shaped her into a stronger person. She shared falling in love, having her heart broken, and loving again anyway. The Nelvorian mind recoiled at first. The intensity of individual emotion was shocking to them. But they couldn't look away. Outside, in the physical world, Greg fought off guards who tried to pull Olivia away from the pillar. Samantha used her engineering skills to lock down the doors, buying them time. Inside the connection, Olivia went deeper. She showed the Nelvorians how human differences led to innovation, how arguments and competition pushed people to excel, how personal choice created art, music, and scientific breakthroughs. "This is not disorder," she told them. "This is the source of our strength." For the first time in their history, the Nelvorian hive mind experienced true individuality. It was terrifying. It was chaotic. And it was beautiful. Across the planet, Nelvorians stopped moving in unison. Some fell to their knees. Others looked around in confusion. In their linked minds, something new was awakening. Olivia fell backward as the connection broke. Greg caught her before she hit the floor. Her eyes fluttered open. "Did it work?" she asked weakly. Before Greg could answer, the Nelvorians in the room moved, but not in their usual perfect unison. Each moved differently. Some stepped back in fear. Others came closer in curiosity. Their skin changed to colors the humans had never seen before. Zephyr entered the chamber. The Nelvorian leader's skin pulsed with waves of gold and silver. "We understand now," Zephyr said. The voice sounded different, less mechanical, more alive. "What we thought was a sickness is your greatest strength." Samantha kept her stunner raised. "So you'll stop trying to change us?" "Yes, the quarantine will end immediately," Zephyr signaled to others, who rushed to carry out the order. Greg helped Olivia to her feet. What happened in there? I showed them everything, she said. What it means to be human. They felt it all: love, fear, hope, grief, joy. Things they never experienced as individuals. Over the next few days, the humans watched an amazing transformation. The Nelvorian society began to change. While they maintained their connection, many began to express individual thoughts and feelings for the first time. It's like they're waking up, Samantha said. On Earth, the blue field disappeared. The affected humans slowly returned to normal as the signal stopped. The strange towers crumbled. People everywhere celebrated their freedom. 1 week after the connection, the Nelvorian High Council invited the 3 humans to a special meeting. The crystal hall was filled with Nelvorians, each now showing slightly different postures and colors. We have made a grave error, Zephyr announced. We believed unity was the only path to peace and progress. We tried to force our way on others, thinking we were helping. A second Nelvorian stepped forward. Lumen, the scientist who had studied humans so carefully. Through Olivia's connection, we experienced the power of being individual while remaining connected. We felt emotions we never knew existed. We saw how conflict and competition drive growth. Zephyr bowed deeply to the humans. We offer our deepest apologies to Earth and all species we have tried to change. The quarantines will end throughout the galaxy. Greg nodded. And what happens to your people now? We will find our own balance, Zephyr said. Some of us wish to experience more individuality. Others prefer the traditional connection. Both paths will be respected. A month later, the 3 humans returned to Earth in a comfortable Nelvorian ship. They were welcomed as heroes. The world they returned to was healing, though some scars remained. In the years that followed, a new relationship formed between humans and Nelvorians, a colony of what they called awakened ones. Nelvorians who chose to live with greater individuality settled on Mars. They served as bridges between the 2 species. Olivia became Earth's ambassador to the galactic community. Greg led a new security force designed to protect human rights across the stars. Samantha's ship designs revolutionized space travel. One evening, 5 years after their journey, Olivia stood on her balcony looking at the stars. Zephyr, who had become a close friend, stood beside her. Do you regret what happened? Olivia asked. The changes to your people? Zephyr's skin rippled with thoughtful blues. Change is difficult, but necessary. We still have our connection, but now we have choice too. You gave us that gift. And what about the other species you tried to help? They are finding their own paths now. The Verdani have fully recovered. Thren leads their new government. Olivia smiled. So the terrifying reality of human nature turned out to be not so terrifying after all. It was terrifying, Zephyr said with a small laugh. Something Nelvorians had only recently learned to do. But terrifying can be wonderful too. That's the lesson we needed. Above them, the stars shone brightly. Earth was no longer alone in the universe. And the universe was better for understanding the complex gift of being human.